What up, Dokkanners? Just how many stones can we expect from the upcoming thank you celebration? Today, we're going to be going through the JP celebration back from July, and we're going to try to come up with our best approximation for this whole thing. Now, before we jump in, I would just like to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the second channel. The first video dropped a couple of days ago for the new edited series for Spider-Man 2. The second video should be dropping tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in checking this out, make sure you guys click the link in the description or in the pinned comment for the Turame second channel. This first video has been a lot of fun, so the second one will be just as good, if not better. So make sure you guys subscribe. Anyway, let's dive in here. Now, when it comes to these sorts of Dragonstone approximation videos, it is exactly that, an approximation. It is not 100% accurate, so keep in mind there could be human calculation error. The Tanabata portion of the JP celebration, like the rainbow ticket stuff, since that's not going to be there during the global version, keep in mind that this could impact missions. This could impact events because the login bonuses and the special missions do involve these rainbow tickets, and global will not be getting those until the holiday celebration. The holiday celebration is when those tickets would be showing up. So maybe that impacts potential missions. Also, there's this new event, Donkey Kong something recruitment test. That event also gives you rainbow tickets, so maybe that also gets impacted. So that could be a variable to consider. Possible events not listed in the Dokkan Wiki. We've seen this issue many times where the wiki just simply doesn't list everything. So that could also be an issue. So, you know, all those reasons and more, keep in mind that this is just an approximation. So that being said, I went ahead and I separated part 1 and part 2 all the way down to the logins and the special missions, because there's a chance that we don't get, not a chance, there's a pretty good chance Carnival Omega Shenron doesn't actually show up as part 2, right? Like, while part 1 is set in stone at this point, part 2 is typically a filler banner for global. So take 2 years ago as an example. Last year doesn't count because Superhero kind of messed everything up. But if we go back to year 6, that's the last best example. LR Tech Gogeta was part 1, and so for part 2, it was obviously LR Janemba. JP got LR Janemba as their part 2. Global did not get part 2 Janemba. Global's Janemba ended up showing up on the following year's New Year's celebration as the part 2 to Super Vegeta. So that could be happening this year as well. Maybe Super Trunks and Carnival Omega Shenron held the New Year's celebration, which is very possible to take place. And if that does happen, it could impact certain events. Maybe all of the missions stay here, but the banner itself gets shifted. That is possible. So keep all of that in mind when you are looking at this. I basically am going to be boiling this down to a range of stones just to try to be as like exhaustive as possible, or comprehensive, I should say. So let's dive in. So we're going to start with part 1 here. I have color coded everything for part 1 in blue. Part 2 is green. So going through these, we have to scroll to the... Dude, why does the Dokkan Wiki list it like this? All right, so the login bonus is right here. I split it in half. This is basically 30 days. Actually, it's more like 32 days. So half of this would be 16. Also, if I look at the dates here, November 2nd to November 18th would be the actual like login dates. So that would be about 16. We can double that to 32 because while you get 16 from the actual login bonus, you also get another stone from doing the daily mission, right? So that's 32 stones. I typically don't count this, but people have been wanting me to do it, so I'm going to include it. So 32 stones from the logins. Special missions. I had to go in and carefully dissect these special missions because there's a part 1 and a part 2. For JP, part 1 started on June 28th and part 2 started July 13th. So I basically separated part 1 and part 2 with these start dates. So the total number of stones that you earn from this, I believe, is like 36 or something like that. So 16 of those stones come from part 1, which is what I've counted right here. The Dokkan event, the Super Saiyan 4, the new Dokkan event obviously has a regular difficulty and a souped up difficulty, so that's 2. The free-to-play GT Extreme Z area, so that is this down here. I have to scroll to the bottom. Yes, this one. So this is for the GT Grade 8 Vegeta, so that gives us 2 stones. Chain Battle, that gives us another 20 stones. That's up to 20 stones. You may not necessarily be able to hit the full 20 stone mission threshold. If you can get 100 million on this chain battle, then you would. I'm pretty sure this one is a pretty high average score. I don't remember, but just listing out all the stones here. Super Battle Road gives you 5 plus 1, so that's 6 stones right there. Infinite Dragon Ball History gives you 27 stones listed right there. Also, very interestingly, JP received the LR Super Saiyan God EZA. Could we get some other event to replace this? It's possible. I actually have something listed at the bottom of this that you'll see. Then we've got the Beerus EZA that gives us 34 stones. We've got Ultimate Clash that gives us 31 stones. And then we've got this Donkey Kong recruitment thing. So this one, I split it up between part 1 and part 2. So part 1 will give you stage 1 and stage 2. Each stage basically gives you 7 stones worth of missions. So that's 14 stones for part 1, and that's 14 stones for part 2. So I've split them in half. So 14 right there. Then we've got the long-awaited boss rush that people have been hoping for to return. Boss rush gives you 35 stones, easy. Support memory boosto gives you 7 stones. I looked through the missions for this one. 7 stones. And then last but not least, we've got the top grossing rewards. That is obviously from part 1. So the top grossing will be listed in the part 1 as well, 30 stones. So that is the entirety of the part 1 Dragonstone count. Now we're going to go into part 2. I will do the totals at the end of the video. So here are the part 1 total, or the part 2 totals. So again, since the entire celebration is about 32 days, I rounded it down to 30 just to be safe. So login for part 2 is 14 stones. You multiply that by 2 because of the daily missions. That gives you 28. Then you've got special missions. Oh, and by the way, I put an asterisk on this event because this event is affected by the rainbow ticket missions. That donkey event thing does give you rainbow tickets as a reward. So will that ultimately be impacted by the fact that we're not getting the rainbow tickets during the celebration? It's possible. That's why I put an asterisk there. Anyway, so login 1428. Special missions, it's the balance of whatever missions we got from the first part. 16 was here. The entire total was 36, so the balance would be 20. Peton battle shows up during part 2, even though it's listed all the way down here at the bottom. The start date is on the 24th, which is very clearly in part 2, so that's 11 stones. ESBR 8 stones as well. That happens during part 2. Then we've got the Baby Vegeta EZA. That's 33 Dragonstones. LR EZAs are 33. The GT EZAs as well. There are 3 of them. They also receive their own separate Extreme Z battle event, which is further up. So, you know, naturally, when you think part 2, you go to the first section of the list because, of course. So both of these events are separate. That's 33 stones each. Then we've got the Omega Shenron Shadow Dragon event. So this is the toughest event in Dokkan. This is going to be dropping at the start of part 2. This, I would imagine, is going to be like hard-coded or tethered to the Carnival Omega Shenron. I don't think we would get it if we don't get this. Maybe, I don't know. So this is going to give us, what is it, like 16 stones? Yeah, 16 stones. Burst mode for the Omega Shenron Dokkan event gives you 9 stones. And then Golden Weekend. So this was listed on the celebration. I don't know if it necessarily will show up on global. It probably will, but just to be on the safe side, I wanted to put an asterisk there. Where is it? Why is this stuff all over the place? This starts at the start of part 2. Yeah, so 3 consecutive holiday special missions. So 7 stones per weekend. So with 3 weekends, that gives you 21. So we've got 21 listed right there. So 1 asterisk is because it's part 2. The other asterisk is because I don't know if we'll get it. And then Donkey Kong, that's 2 asterisks as well. That's 14 stones. So with all of that, that concludes part 2. Now, the one event that was listed here that Global will not be getting is the LR Godku EZA. So to replace that, could we potentially be seeing a world tournament coming up? It's possible. It's not, I mean, I don't know if it's guaranteed, which is why it's neither color-coded nor in any of the other asterisk like classifications. This is 3 stars because this is a super big maybe, right? So maybe we get this for this celebration. If we do, that's a good thing in terms of stones because that's up to 50 stones that you can get from it. If we don't get it, well, then Global ends up getting, I guess, fewer stones than JP does for this. But that's only because Global got this EZA well before JP did. Global got this, I think, in February, and JP got this like 5 months later, which is actually a pretty big difference when it comes to like global exclusive stuff. So now we go to the totals. So this is what we've got. So if we just add up everything from part 1 with all of my calculations, I've got 256 stones from part 1. If we tabulate everything from part 2 based on my calculations, we've got 193 stones. If we add them together, that's basically 450 stones. I am not counting World Tournament. If you want to include that, you can, but this is my running total for parts 1 and 2 based on everything that I have calculated, everything that I've seen in the Dokkan Wiki, and this is my best approximation. So in summation, we could get anywhere between 256 Dragon Stones to 450 stones for the Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku Thank You Celebration. Is it likely that we get something around this? Maybe not. Maybe it could be a little bit less. Maybe I made some grave calculation errors here. So if you'd like to maybe average this out, that could be better. Maybe somewhere around like 370, 350 or something like that. Try to think of it that way. That way, when you expect less stones, you will get more and be surprised. That might be the safest option. So here's a range for you. I figured this would be the best way to do it because like it's very difficult to try to anticipate how they're going to kind of do these celebrations when they don't exactly happen the same way they do on JP. This is why when we go into full synchro, it's going to be easy because it's going to be uniform across the board. Like if we just ended up getting the rainbow tickets now, that would have made everything a lot easier and more clear, but whatever. It's Dokkan for you. Never apply logic to Dokkan. So this is my final answer. This is my final approximation. Anywhere between these two numbers would be the amount of stones that we're going to be getting. If you want to add the lower end of it, feel free. If you want to add the higher end, feel free. Just know that this is not 100% accurate, and we will obviously find out in more detail what is going to be coming up in just a couple of days. And when that happens, I will do a full campaign breakdown looking through the campaign itself. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on how many stones we are getting for this upcoming celebration. Do you think that we will be getting the Omega Shenron Part 2? Do you think the banner alone will be moved over to New Year's? Do you think all of the events will remain? Do you think a world tournament is possible for this thank you celebration? And if you were to add, I don't know, let's say like 400 stones. Let's round it down a little bit. If you were to add 400 stones to your stone total, how much would you have? And will you be summoning for Super Saiyan 4? Let me know your thoughts overall in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it! Thanks again. Stay tuned and remember to Dokkan responsibly.